welcome to Season 2, Episode 12 of Pro Wrestling's Top 50. I'm your host, Travis McNeil, and today we continue our countdown of the top 50 matches in Impact Wrestling history with match number 39 on our list, which is the NWA World Heavyweight Championship match between the champion Christian Cage and the challenger Samoa Joe from the TNA Destination X 2007 event held back on March the 11th of 2007. Now, the Destination X pay-per-view historically is built around the X division. You know, there's normally an Ultimate X match or something along those lines at the show. This year's was a little bit different. Rather than the Ultimate X, they did the debut of the Elevation X, which was essentially like a scaffold match, which, you know, if you're a wrestling historian, you know those maybe don't always have the greatest quality that comes along with them. And that match was between AJ Styles and Rhino. So what TNA did to still, you know, put this spotlight on the X division, they had Samoa Joe, who had dominated the X division since his debut in the summer of 2005. They built him up very well, you know, had transitioned him out of the X division kind of into that proper heavyweight division through his feud with Kurt Angle at the end of 06, start of 07. And this was his match. It was going to be his first shot at the NWA World Heavyweight Championship. And it was something that at the time, a lot of fans were clamoring for. So they did a pretty good job building Joe up for this match. There was a gauntlet for the gold to determine the number one contender for Christian, which Joe won. They do make a big deal out of his entrance. He comes out, you know, with a lot of, like tribal dancers, and they do a little dance routine on his entrance, which was really cool. And this match is something that I don't think TNA has done a really great job at through its history. It's a very traditional face versus heel match. And if you've seen, if you followed my videos since the start of this series, you'll know that I really enjoy, just that face heel dynamic. That's, the wrestling I grew up on. It's wrestling that I still really enjoy. And, you don't see it as much now as you used to. So many things are shades of gray, and so many times, heels are cool and you still want to root for them because they do cool moves or, whatever the case may be. And this match was just so well done because Samoa Joe was this juggernaut, and while he was a heel, he was one of those guys where he was, so cool and so powerful and so strong and did so many great moves and beat guys up that even though he was a heel, you still found yourself rooting for him a lot of the time. So they took that juggernaut that was Samoa Joe, transitioned him into a firm face role here, and Christian, just did his absolute best to just be a slime ball during this match. Toned back, a lot of his offense, did a lot more chokes and things like that than, you'd maybe expect from him. And it really, really, really worked and set up this dynamic contest. Right from the bell, Joe just eats Christian alive. He just, takes him down with a big shoulder block, and then from there just dominates him. Christian does a great job trying to bail, and Joe doesn't even let him get out of the ring. There's one spot where, Christian kind of rolls out to the apron, and Joe just hits him with a big overhand chop that sends him, falling backward back into the ring. It was great. They do end up out on the floor. Christian manages to finally get a little space and goes for a charge, and Joe hits the ST Joe on the floor, which is something I don't think I'd ever really seen up until that point. So it was, different and cool and unexpected. Joe takes him through the crowd, and they just do, a crowd brawl of Christian trying to go through the sea of fans, trying to escape, and, Joe kind of being almost like the Jason Voorhees style, killer that's just chasing him that he can't escape. He hits, like a big boot, through the wall to Christian at some point. He just kicks his ass all over the arena, and it's glorious. Once they do end up getting back into the ring, though, this is where things start to go Christian's way a little bit more. He manages to avoid a bunch of moves, including the Muscle Buster, and this is where he takes over by, clawing and choking and, hitting what moves that he can. Joe eventually ends up getting, the Coquina Clutch, the choke on. Christian gets the ropes. He goes for it again, and Christian counters into the Unprettier for 2. So this was Christian's really first big match, and one of the only, or big move rather, and one of the only big moves that he's able to hit the entire contest. And, it's his finish, and it wasn't enough. Joe kicked out. It made him look great. Samoa Joe, kind of channels the spirit of the X division, and even though he is, a little bit more of a traditional kind of strong style heavyweight wrestler, he hits a very much a Biggie Langston style, suicide spear to the floor that was just crazy and brutal, and he almost lands on his head, but he takes Christian out. And at that point, in something that I really, really, really liked is, Christian tries to go to the back. He, does the traditional heel trope of, he takes his title and tries to go home. But then a number of the X Division wrestlers like Low Ki and Jay Lethal and Sanjay Dutt and Petey Williams, they all come out of the entrance tunnel and basically run Christian back into the ring. And I loved that because at the end of 2005, end of 2006, Samoa Joe was scrutinized by the rest of the X Division, because it's this tight-knit group of wrestlers that, worry about delivering the best match on every show and using their athleticism to show who's best. And, Joe, they did a storyline where Joe, went over the line and was instead trying to brutalize wrestlers rather than, use that athletic ability. So it showed that the X Division, they'd finally accepted Joe as one of their own, and, they were behind him in hopes that one of their guys would, climb to the top of the mountain and win the NWA World Heavyweight Championship. And it was just a really good scene. It was really well done. I think they could have made it even better if they had them go around the ring and, start banging on the mat like, Chikara would do quite a few times to, rally the baby faces. I think that would have made it even better. But as it stood, it was great. So they run Christian back into the ring. Joe hits his original finishing move, the Island Driver for 2, which again I thought was great, going back to his roots to try to win the match. From here, you kind of get into that little bit of an overbooking, but it really works again given the face versus heel dynamic. So the referee gets bumped, on an errant Samoa Joe big boot. Joe goes for a tope. Christian blasts him with a chair shot. He, back in the ring, obviously there's no referee, so Christian goes for another chair shot. Joe, dodges it and ends up hitting the muscle buster, but again, no referee. So he gets that visual pinfall that shows, this guy on this night could have become the NWA World Heavyweight Champion. By the time the referee comes to, though, it's only good for 2. Joe gets the choke once again, and Christian, just being the dirtbag that he is, he hits, kind of like a mule kick low blow for it. You kind of expect that that's going to lead into the finish, but nope, Samoa Joe, he fights through and he grabs the choke one more time. And in just a really, really, really great finish, Christian does the old, Roddy Piper, Bret Hart, WrestleMania 8, roll, kick off the turnbuckle, roll up. But as he does that, not only does he do that to counter the choke, but he throws his feet back on the rope as well, and it's enough to just hold Samoa Joe for the 3 count, and Christian barely escapes with the title by the skin of his teeth. I loved this match. I thought it was, a really great, like I said, just a babyface performance from Samoa Joe, but in, a very strong, powerful face role. Christian played off him perfectly, was a great chicken shit heel throughout the whole thing. And I think it was, overall one of his best career singles performances as well. He's done a lot of great stuff in the WWE too, but this really showed just his range and his depth as a heel, and he did a fantastic job with it. This match is great. I do feel like it's a little bit of a hidden gem. It kind of, is gone under the radar, over the past 14 years, but it's well worth your time. You can watch it on Impact Plus, of course. You can subscribe to my channel here on YouTube so that you never miss a video. Follow me on Instagram and Twitter at Wrestling50, and please join me again tomorrow as we continue to count down Pro Wrestling's Top 50.